What's happening, guys? This is James Blom with MMOHuts.com with a quick weekly recap for MMO news and announcements for the week ending January 27th, 2014. And our news this week is almost as exciting as last week's with the launch of Hearthstone's open beta. And that means that some anxious players don't have to spend crazy money on eBay just to get in. Not a whole lot to know about it, just sign up and download and you're in. It's open to everyone and they don't plan for any more card wipes. So the next step is to wait for any content updates, add-ons, along with a port over to iOS and Android, which hopefully goes smoothly.
Well played.
The action-packed, gory goodness third-person shooter some know as Loadout is headed for a full launch the last day of this month, and with it the developers announced a new game mode that pretty much takes all of the current game modes and throws them into one. In Annihilation mode, as it's called, players must work together to kill enemy players for extra points, steal a giant hammer from the enemy base, and then use that giant hammer to destroy the enemy team's power core. And on top of all that, this mode brings in the in-game character progression and power-up system, allowing players to better define their role in each and every match. It seems like a pretty fun game mode, especially if you're familiar with the other ones, but I can say, if any shooter was planning on having a MOBA-type game mode, kind of like Soldier Front 2 does, I think Loadout would make a good candidate for it. I'm just saying. Well, it seems like they might have heard us. Infinite Crisis finally introduced the first variation of Superman, so we can only call it Batman Crisis sometimes now. Superman's skills are, as you might expect, super. His Frost Breath and Heat Vision are great for snagging enemies to finish them off. His passive, called Man of Steel of course, gives him a shield after dealing damage with any of his skills. And after gaining this shield, each of his skills increases the power of the shield. And with his ultimate, Speeding Bullet, he flies to a targeted enemy, dealing damage to that enemy and enemies nearby. He seems OP, but it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, come on, it's Superman, anything goes. I'm honestly surprised he didn't have to wear a kryptonite belt or vest just to play nicely with the other heroes. Next up, it looks like the Repopulation is doing well, blasting through their stretch goals and putting more and more on the development plate for the game. But at the same time, they're also revealing how certain features in the game are played out. Traveling, for example, comes in many forms in this game. Players can choose to travel via pets, vehicles, quick or instant, or even on foot, believe it or not. Either way, they feel that the end result needs to be smooth. The developers plan to have specific servers, standard ones, which will function similar to Realm vs. Realm style MMOs with open warfare, and hardcore servers that give advanced players a little bit more of what they're looking for. They just recently released this third teaser, which you see playing here, showcasing a lot of these features, and there's tons more to read up on about this game, and we've got a lot of the info over at MMOHuts.com that you can find from the links below. But as far as the stretch goals go, the most recent goal put traveling vendors into a reality, and the next will be the crafter-centric goal of the unique renaming of items, which sounds kind of interesting. All I know is that this game is becoming far more in-depth than I ever thought it was going to be, but surely it's turning out for the better. Things look to be getting very serious for Black Gold Online. This past week we saw a total revamp of the game's official website that features a sleek new design showing off the races and their locations, the classes and their specs, and all the up-to-date content information. The new page design features sections offering an overview of Montel, the setting of Black Gold Online, that is divided from east to west by a mountain range, with the 6 races split on either side in a war between Steam and Magic. Along with this, they've also introduced a new class, the Pyromancer. Just like the one in Forge, this class is a ranged DPS glass cannon with powerful and overwhelming AoE spells. Then again, with the new site setup, it looks like they've revealed several classes we haven't seen yet, along with several that are yet to be shown. All I know is that with the Geomancer here, it's official. We can now refer to the game as Avatar Online. I mean, come on, really? And although we don't really have a date yet, we're getting closer and closer to the closed beta, so it's probably best to sign up now. This next bit of news was a little bit confusing at first, but Gamerocks has now gone live with the open beta of City of Steam. Gamerocks is the new publisher for City of Steam for the Southeast Asia region, but at the same time still grants access to players in many other locations, including the US. Apparently the game's previous Asian publisher was causing some cash shop controversy, so it's been transferred over to Gamerocks, pretty much confirming that Mechanist Games has had some lousy luck with publishers. The part we're still not completely clear on is, does Gamerocks' version of the game reflect the new system features and gameplay mechanics of the US published version of City of Steam's Arcadia by Mechanist Games? My guess is no, but that just means that players have 2 ways to play City of Steam. Happiness for all. Last week, we were all excited that Kingdom Under Fire 2 was on board for their first English experience beta, and we knew it was a little tough to get into with getting 5 Facebook friends to share the post to get a key and all, but what we didn't know is the game was IP blocked and wasn't confirmed prior. Apparently something went wrong with the Western-based players downloading the client, and they decided to narrow down the region. All hope is not lost yet, because the game is actually set to release very soon in the Southeast Asia region, and the rest of the world will get their own versions of the game, so your hard-earned beta key may just be of some use again in the not-so-distant future. Next up, Paradox North introduces a new dueling mode to Magicka Wizard Wars. This new mode was created from a direct response to fan feedback received during the early access phase, which is still going on, by the way. Duel mode is a bit more personal than the typical game mode. 4 players step into an arena with a shortage of personal space, and 2 randomly chosen players will begin a battle in a one-on-one fight to the death, while the other 2 players witness the carnage. After the first wizard falls, a spectator takes their place, and this process continues until one wizard scores 6 kills. There isn't a date given as to when this game mode will be implemented, but it shouldn't be too far off according to Paradox North. We've got tons of news from SOE this week, starting with DC Universe Online and the release of its War of the Light DLC. Early access started on the 22nd for Legendary members, but starting January 28th, all DC Universe players can purchase the new DLC to master the new Red Lantern-inspired rage powers, explore ranks and Mogo, and see a whole new version of Metropolis. And according to a lot of players, this looks to be one of the best DLCs yet. And while some games are doing really well, others we just can't really say the same for. SOE just recently announced that it's going to be shutting down 4 of its games, all before mid-summer 2014. This July marks the final month for both Wizardry Online and Vanguard Online, while Free Realms and Star Wars Clone Wars Adventures will be ended this coming March. Special activities, events, and compensations will be held for all 4 games, featuring transitions over to the new All Access program that I mentioned briefly a few weeks ago, which now offers a shared membership to most of SOE's titles at a single subscription fee. So it sucks to see some games get shut down, but it also looks like they're going to focus more on EQ Next, which is what our next news is about. This past week, the EQ Next team released 2 new videos showcasing the crafting side of Landmark. The lead system designer explains how players craft various activatable items or items with no variation, as well as cosmetic items such as props or clothing with their own unique touch. The game will feature different types of crafting benches according to what needs to be crafted, but one type, called the altar, has to be discovered and only has a small window in which players can craft from it. So the altar offers up unique craftable items while at the same time encouraging player exploration. This and a lot more is explained in the latest dev diary you guys should definitely check out, and don't forget the alpha is just around the corner. Pretty excited about that. Anyway guys, that's about it for this crazy week of MMO news and announcements. Be sure to check the links in the description below for more details about the news featured in this recap. Otherwise, head over to MMOHuts.com/news for more crazy news and updates. Feel free to discuss the news in the comments below or head over to MMOHuts.com/forums. But until next time guys, that's going to be it for me. I'm James Blonde. See you out there, gamers.